The President of Sri Lanka and senior government ministers repeatedly claimed that not a single Tamil civilian was killed by Sri Lankan government shelling of the no-fire zone. Where the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam made their last stand in mid-May. It's a claim that's at odds with accounts of survivors. The Sri Lankan government banned journalists and independent observers from the no-fire zone, as they have from camps, where more than 250,000 Tamils have been incarcerated ever since. The government claims Tamil civilians are not being held against their will, but this is at odds with accounts of the interred. Eyewitnesses to all this are thin on the ground, but this British Tamil woman has just been released, having lived through it all. She'd volunteered to help out in a hospital. Then she'd got trapped in the no-fire zone by advancing government forces.
Dead bodies everywhere. Wherever you turn around, it's dead bodies. I mean, you just have to walk on the street, just seeing dead bodies everywhere. And the hospitals were with dead bodies on the floor, on the sand. There wasn't enough space to put them, so we have to just leave them outside on the sand.
You're confident that the shells that killed people, for example, weren't shells fired from Tamil Tiger positions?
I mean, it can't be, because the Tamil Tigers were living with the innocent civilians there, and they don't want to kill their own people. They were fighting for them. They worked so hard to save the people.
But they're also accused of using their own people as human shields.
I didn't personally experience any of that, so I can't really comment on that.
Damilvani Gnanakumar, born in Jaffna, had gone back to Sri Lanka last year for the first time since her family fled in 1994. She'd just finished a biomedical degree at Greenwich University. It hadn't prepared her for this. She estimates that 20,000 civilians may have died in the final 5-day onslaught. Some grim pictures did emerge, shot by Tamil doctors. The 20,000 figure has been cited by some Western relief agencies too, but is rubbished as unsubstantiated by the Sri Lankan government. Damilvani Gnanakumar finally fled across the front lines.
From this Mullivaikal, which is the end of the no-fire zone area, there were a lot of bodies around, and there was a mother who was carrying the dead body of a baby. She didn't want to, I mean, she can't, carry the baby, and she didn't want to leave it either. There wasn't any place to bury the baby. She's like, she didn't know what to do, and she was still holding it and crying and everything, and then with the people pushing in and with the rush and everything, she just had to leave the baby on the side of the road and come.
Miss Gnanakumar ended up in one of the camps set up to enable the government to weed out Tamil Tiger fighters who they claimed were hiding among Tamil civilians. 4 months on, and only 15,000 have been released. There have been allegations of poor conditions, rapes and disappearances.
Parents are really depressed and upset because either the daughter or son were taken to different camps, suspecting that they're LTT members. And I mean, all sort of things are happening. And I've seen a English, I think he was an English teacher. I'm not sure, it's an English or one of the subject teachers. He hanged himself on one of the trees in...
He hanged himself?
Yeah.
The camps are the subject of mounting international concern. A very senior UN official is in Colombo tonight to press the government to speed up urgently the resettlement of displaced Tamil civilians, about which the UN has expressed particular concern. Sri Lanka's Attorney General told the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva that it is quite inaccurate to state that internally displaced persons are detained under conditions of internment. The resettlement programs, he said, have been speeded up. Ms. Gnanakumar says she was there the day the UN Secretary-General came to the camps in late May. He stayed just a few minutes, she told me. Many people, she says, have been dismayed that the world hasn't done more to help.
They lost the trust in international now, because after all this happened, they lost the trust. They're not sure that if they speak out... Yeah, I mean, they don't feel safe to speak out. They don't trust the international now, because they think, okay, all this happened, nothing happened, the international didn't come and help us.
Damilvani Gnanakumar was interrogated 5 times before finally being released to British consular officials last Tuesday. We are unable to vouch for the independence of her testimony.
There's no need to lie. I mean, I'm talking for the innocent civilians. So there's no need to lie. Why should I lie? I mean, why? Why should I lie? There's nothing to lie.
Miss Gnanakumar is safe now and back with her family. She knows those she left behind are not, and she dismisses out of hand any notion that there can ever be reconciliation